Hello and welcome to the Inside Scoop. I'm Pat Riley, and we are here focusing on the annual town election coming up in the town of Raynham with our candidates. Right now we have candidate Lou Pacheco, who is a candidate for the open seat on the Raynham Select Board. Welcome, Lou.
Welcome. Nice seeing you again.
Same here. Thank you. And we're starting off by saying, in case there's anyone out there that doesn't know Lou Pacheco, what would you like them to know about you? Give us a little background information.
Well, I was born and raised here. My family's been here for 6 generations with my grandkids. And I raised my family here. I worked here for 38 years on the police department. And and I have my own business. I have my own business here, Champion Pet Care. That's a plug. On the corner of Hill Street and Judson Street. We've been there for 30 years, so my wife runs that mostly.
So you went to the Raynham schools?
Yes.
Bridgewater Raynham?
Bridgewater Raynham. I was the second class in Bridgewater Raynham. So.
And you went to the military after high school?
I joined the Marine Corps. I went to college. And then while I was in college, things heated up in Vietnam. So I volunteered for the Marines. And then once I get in, I volunteered for a special reconnaissance unit, sort of like the SEALs today. And I got tours in Westpac, Asia, and one tour in the Mediterranean.
And you joined the Raynham Police Department, starting as a dispatcher, was it?
Yes, I did. That's I started as a civilian dispatcher. My one little claim to fame that I like to tell people about is that I've worked every position in a civil service police department, every rank in a civil service police department, from civilian dispatcher, patrol sergeant, lieutenant, captain, deputy chief, and chief. So a lot of people would go, from patrol to chief, or many people have, but very few hit every rank. It was just luck of the draw.
I would imagine both the town of Raynham and the police department changed considerably over that span.
Yeah, when I first came on, it was 4, 5, 6 guys, all had different uniforms. A couple were trained, most of them weren't. And myself and Peter King. Peter King come in a couple months before me, and he was a Marine too. And he said, when I came on, he said he was going to change the police department. He was going to make it professional, and he did. We started with that, and by the time I left, we were teaching police stuff at the International Association of Chiefs of Police. So it was Peter did a good job, brought the department up, and a lot of the guys that we brought on are here now. The lieutenants, the chief David LaPlante, another local man, and so it's a good unit, it's a good police department, and it's good for the town.
Lou, what do you see as the role of the member of the select board?
Well, that's a great question, and I've thought about it a lot, and a lot of it came from talking with Mr. McKinnon for 30 years. Mr. McKinnon has actually appointed me.
Really?
Yes, he appointed me, and in 1973. And I've thought about it a lot. He taught me a lot about it, but I see the board as a unit, not as individuals. But I see the individuals as they should be talking to people privately, deliberating collectively between the 3 of them, and then making their decisions publicly. So the way I would like to look at it is I would like to be out in the field, seeing what's going on, and bringing that information back to the board, and then deliberating with the board as a unit, and then making the decision publicly and explain to people why. We have to explain to them why we're doing things. Lots of times we know it, but it doesn't get fed down. Part of it is because of journalism. I mean, not to date you, but you used to write weekly and semi-weekly.
All the meetings, they all got in the newspaper.
Yes.
And now it's difficult to get that word out.
Yes, and
let people know.
And Mike Halen and I, through Raycam, are doing that, and there's a couple of more steps that we can do so that we can get those meeting minutes using AI, not costing us any more than what we're doing now, and get it to everybody so everybody knows, every hand knows what the other hand's doing. And I think that that would help. I mean, there's no magic formula. There's no, the other night we were talking about Chapter 70 and you're going to do this and you're going to do that. As a selectman, you don't have any way. You want to change Chapter 70, then run and become a senator or a representative and getting it funded and everything. It's a nice thing to say, and people that don't understand it think that, well, why don't they do that? Well, the reason is because we don't have any, we as a select person, if I was lucky enough to be, don't have any power over that. What we do have is we're boots on the ground. In other words, when we have an issue like the Pine Street issue that's going on now, I've been all through those woods. I've been through that brook. I've been through there. When I come back, and if you guys ask me, if I win, you guys ask me what's going on Pine Street, I'll know because I've been there. That's what I think a selectman should be. Bringing that information back from the field and representing the people that way. And of course, you make mistakes. You can't represent everybody. You got to make decisions that not everybody likes. But that's the job as I see it.
Yeah, it is making those tough decisions sometimes because you have limited funds, and it's great to get some from the state, and that would be wonderful. But you have what you have to work with.
Absolutely. And, I saw it so drastically when I was the chief of staff in Fall River. I mean, the easy things are already done. By the time it gets to the city council or the mayor of Fall River or the selectmen in the town, the easy stuff's been done because it would have been done already. You get the hard stuff that nobody else can handle. And that's what you sign on
So
for.
how do you make those tough decisions? What's your strategy for decision making?
Well, you saw how I would attack the problem. And the decision I would make would be what I thought was best for the town. I don't have a cause. I don't have an agenda. I'm not building things. I'm not growing things. I have no built-in agenda. The same way that I enforce the law, which is difficult too, but it's a different type of problem, is I try to stay within the law, be respectful of everybody, and make the decision for the people that they would make if they were sitting in these three chairs. That's the way I try to do it. So I don't make it to help an individual or to forward my cause or to forward my agenda. I make it the same as police. Police, to me, was the person doing the work of enforcing the law that the citizen would do if he had the time and that was his job. Nothing spectacular about it. The police are the people and the people are the police. And I see that as an extension. The only thing is, with selectmen, in the police job, 80% of your job is law enforcement and 20% is community caretaking. In selectmen, I think it's the other way around. You can tell me better because you're a selectman, but that's the way I see it.
You made the comment at the candidates' night that you can't run it just as a business.
No, that's the biggest farce that's out there completely. A business is an autocracy. It's made for bottom lines. For instance, do you think that there would be a post office if it was run strictly as a business, where you would send somebody twice a day to every single house in a country of 300 million people? No, it wouldn't do that. A business is UPS, the FedEx, and businesses like that. That's businesses, but they ain't doing that hard stuff, that difficult stuff. That's what government's supposed to do. And people are paying us to do that. They're paying their taxes and they're paying us to do the stuff that businesses won't do. And don't forget, in a business, the boss and the board of directors is in charge. This is a town. This goes back to the people are in charge. I mean,
a town meeting and the voters.
Exactly,
Yes.
a town meeting,
Yes.
and we can have all the happy talk about good government and all this and everything, but those people sitting in the chairs at the town meeting are the ones.
The
If they
decision.
say, look, you're only getting $1,000 or 1,000X, and that's what you're gonna work on, then that's what you're gonna work on. And you don't play games with it.
You mentioned about your involvement. You were on the Raynham Cable Commission originally, and then on the Raycam Board of Directors, which is a private nonprofit but provides the cable service for the
Yeah.
community.
And I really think we got an opportunity here, and this is one of the things why I started thinking about selectmen. A lot of people ask me if I would run because a lot of projects and things seem to be dragging on, and I kind of had a reputation of kind of getting things done once we got things moving, you know. And they asked me, but the Raycam thing was Mike Halen. I mean, he's a genius on this stuff. Anybody that knows him, he tapes all the meetings. He does all the technology himself. But now with the addition of AI, we can take the words from the meetings, put it into a transcript, and give it to all the board heads so that everybody's at the same place at the same time. There's other things that we can do with it too. And there's no big spending money. It's just utilizing better the brain power and the people power that we have in place and letting them work more efficiently and better. It's not going to solve all our problems, but like I said at the candidates, my North Star, just try to make each problem a little better than what you found it. Every call. When I first got on the police department, I was going to domestic disturbances that were literally older than I was. The argument was older than I was. And, I got thinking like, well, what about all the cops that have been here before me? How come this ain't fixed? But what I settled on for the rest of my career, and I taught it at the police academy, which I taught from 78 to 2015, make every call important to the people that call and leave every call a little bit better than what you found it.
That whole community policing aspect you were
Community policing is
advocated
the
for.
backbone of good government, no question about it. The people have to be involved, the police have to be involved, and it's the big thing about voting, which we brought up at the debate too, is you tell people to vote, and I don't care who they vote for. I really don't care. But don't complain to me that nobody's doing anything and nobody cares and nobody does anything, and you haven't voted. Because the people that get voted in, if they see and they know who votes and who doesn't vote. They get lists. If they see that nobody cares, then they come up with one or two conclusions. What I'm doing is perfectly okay, and everybody agrees. Or
Nobody cares.
nobody cares, so why should I care? And if I want to cut corners or I want to get away with something, nobody's watching. Once again, going back to the journalism. Because when I come on, there was journalists in the courtroom every day. They knew what was coming in, what was going out, and anybody tried to cut corners or do something that just wasn't quite right. There was three journalists there. There was, the Standard Times, the Taunton Daily Gazette, the Middleborough Examiner.
What do you like best about the town of Raynham? What do you think is best about the town?
I don't know what's bad about it.
So everything, okay.
No,
Anything
it's
you'd
the
like to
people. It's
change?
obviously the people. It's
Yeah.
not the road system or the sewer system or the water system or this department or that department. It's the people. Blizzard of '78. Okay, I got out of a cruiser at midnight, and people that remember that, people that don't, started snowing around 1 PM, and then it snowed for 2 days. So I got out of it at midnight, and in uniform, I went into a snowplow because I used to be a truck driver, at construction. And then when we was done with that, back in uniform, and then was back in that, I went on a front end loader. At the same time, going in and out of the police department, stopping there for bathroom breaks and stuff like that, the woman next door, Bucky Glavin's wife, has passed away now, fed the whole fire department and the whole police department out of her kitchen, and for days.
Evelyn is
And
amazing.
the selectman's office was full of animals because the roof had collapsed on the pet store. And
Oh, wow.
we saved all the animals and we put them in the selectmen's room. They were not pleased about that.
And it still happens that our highway department is short-staffed. So with the big blizzard that we have, workers from our cemetery department, our sewer department, others, police, fire, they all get involved to help out.
Can I talk about the highway for a minute?
Sure.
Yeah, I was down there the other day and I used to work there, as I said. I'm telling you, Norm, the gentleman that runs it, Sturdivant, he's just doing a good job. I mean, he's got that place like it looks like a hospital operating room. I mean, it's cleanliness. And I've been in a lot of garages, like I said, I was in construction. And he knows every vehicle there that he has. He knows the year, he knows the engine, he knows roughly how many miles or hours are on it, just off the top of his head. And he takes such pride in it. We can help him. He's working millions of dollars of jobs on a whiteboard with a crayon,
Right.
as far as project
Right.
progress.
Right.
And he's got everything and he knows where it is in his head. But we could help with that, without spending a lot of money and make his job a little easier. But not to go off on a tangent, but he did a good job. And I've also met with the fire department and the police department. Of course, those guys I've known for years. Norm and I didn't know each other.
So you're saying there are ways to work smarter.
There's definitely ways to work smarter. And we got to utilize these people. You got to bring them in and ask them questions and see what they come up with answers. Several heads have more ideas than just one person. Or
Sure.
something like. And we get stuck. We get stuck in old methods and old ways. Try something new. And we're going into a rough time. I mean, the school budget is, I think it come in at, they were looking for a 3.9 million override. Is my
Last time around, and now the budget that was approved would be an 8% increase. There may be a way to reduce that somewhat. Increase over before.
And today, diesel fuel's over $4 an hour,
Right.
$4 a gallon.
Yeah, so it's only going to get
And
worse.
inflation went up this morning to triple what it was last month. That comes out of our hide. So, we're going into tough times. So anytime, and not as a slogan, but anytime we can get the same work done and not spend as much money on it, I think that's a win for the people.
Definitely. What's been your campaign strategy?
I do a lot of Facebook posts. I never worked on Facebook before, as far as, I worked it for crime, but I never worked it, politically. But I got 64,000 views on 18 posts. What is that? Somebody from outside Raynham is reading them.
I don't think we have that many people in here,
Yeah, 64.
watching.
Now, I know
They
views.
probably all want to come to Raynham because they see what a great town we have.
That's it. I'm drawing people here. I know that views by themselves are meaningless and it's engagement and all that, but I spend a lot of time on that, and it's a good way to show people problems. People seem to be interested in it, and then I've been banging on doors, and I've been reacquainting myself with the town because I had that time away, and so the fire chief and the police chief and the highway. And some of the board members have been bringing me up to speed on the gap between where I was before and where I am. So I'm having fun. I really am. And we'll see what happens. And, I know I say it all the time. People say you shouldn't say it. But, regardless of who wins, Raynham's not going to lose. I mean, it's good people.
What would you like to accomplish?
I would like to have the town work at its maximum capabilities, utilizing as much as we can of the talent and the people that we have in town. That's what my constant goal would be. That would be where I would be looking for. Individually, there's several problems that I'd like to oversee. I'd like to help, which you guys have already got a good start on, is the public safety building. That's going to be a problem because that has to go out to bid again. And we changed it from a one spot do it, which is the cheapest way, to doing it in phases. And you're familiar with that with school projects from the school board. It's always more expensive when you got to build a school on top of the old school. So basically what we're doing, and this is what I think is critical, is we're building the plane while we're flying it, which is just as dangerous when you're talking about police and fire calls. You don't want anything to slip through the cracks. So I think I could be helpful for the board, if the board so decides, to keep an eye on that, to make sure that that moves along and we don't lose the great rapport that we have with the town. That would be good. A couple of these development projects I'm not pleased with at all. Not pleased with at all. I don't think we did as much as we could have done to make sure that the project went into the town with the least possible damage to Raynham's character and the way that Raynham is. I mean, that project up on 138, I just feel so bad for those people up there. They're suffering with that road, the road from hell, and I know exactly what they're talking about because I walked that road constantly while I was rebuilding it the last time. That was in 1983. And the cement then, what happens is all the cracks between the cement keep shifting. So when the trucks and the cars go down there, you get that constant thump, 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 and then you asphalt over it, and a couple of years later it comes back again.
Right.
And then, of course, the water district that was up there at the time kept no records. So they're going digging and stuff, and all of a sudden you got a geyser at the corner of Britain and 138 for a water pipe that nobody knew was there, et cetera, going, because the records were paper,
Right.
and there were two separate water departments at the time, et cetera. So I would like to put into place, to help put into place and help oversee some of these projects so that when they do come in, and they have to come in, I know there's progress, I know there's development, but when they do is with the least possible damage to the town and the least possible strain on our infrastructure. Because the biggest complaint I get walking around, traffic, can't get across streets, backed up, speeding, in certain areas because people are late trying to get to work and back. So that's what I like to work on.
Okay. We've got a few more minutes here. Anything else you'd like to tell the voters, residents out there, other than the fact, of course, they have to get out and vote. We need them to vote. But what else would you like them to know about your candidacy? Anything else?
Well, I think if you want to know what I would do, you could just ask any of the old timers that saw me come up through the 40 years that I worked here. You're the best indicator of what somebody will do is what they've done in the past. And I get kind of I don't like to talk about things like I did them myself, because everything that I've been in from the time I joined the Marine Corps until sitting at this table, I've done with other people. But you have to get up in front and you have to talk about it. So I'm uncomfortable just sounding like it was the Lou show.
Well, you need a team, but you need somebody to lead the team.
Yes, and believe me when I say, for instance, the Raynham Police Department, we already talked about, from 4 or 5 guys in uniforms to teaching at the International Association over many years, during that time period. The task forces that you saw come and go. I mean, we were doing right here in Raynham by the Bristol County Savings Bank in a donated building. We were doing the crime scene videotape for all over southeastern Massachusetts and using officers from half a dozen different departments And we even did some of the first Boston murder tapes because they couldn't handle. Remember the old, they were on VHS tapes, and it was very difficult. You had to have good equipment
Right.
to get a good snapshot, or what we'd call a screenshot today, off a VHS tape. So we designed that and we helped with that. We got grants to do it. Didn't cost the town anything. Everything was donated. The building was donated. Same thing with the Inform project that we did in this school, which was the integrated fiber optic network. That's where all these cameras, the first cameras that we used, will come up because people hadn't seen them, hadn't seen the wireless stuff. And that's just pulling in resources that are already there, testing them, beta testing them, putting them in. And I was very successful at that. So if you think I'm just here doing happy talk to some of the people around town that know, and you'll see. We were the first accident reconstruction for a local department. Went to Northwestern University for that. We were the first canine in the area before Taunton or anybody. Weymouth had one, but nothing down in this area. We did the first computer forensics. We did the first cell phone forensics. We taught the firearms for the whole southeastern Mass. So we do things. We did things, but we did it together. We did it collaboratively. And if it didn't work out, it didn't cost the town a lot. It didn't cost the cities a lot. And we moved on to something else, made changes.
Some of the roles that select board members get involved in, balancing budgets or making sure you have to have a balanced budget for sure, finding the right people for the positions, hiring some of the important positions in town, negotiating contracts, those sorts of things. Have you had experience along those lines?
Yeah, I've had quite a bit of experience on that. Chief King was the administrative lead for almost all the time I was on the police department. However, I worked hand in glove with him on all the budgets from the original one out. He kind of left me behind when he went on spreadsheets because he was pretty good at it. But we had, I don't know, $3 or $4 million budget. My job was to get as much done out of the budget as we could. Peter's job was to get the budget and allocate it. Then when I moved to the DA's office, and I did all, and I didn't do it personally, but Peter and I and the select board did all the hiring. And I think you can see from the men you have and the women that you have on the police department now, we did a pretty good job. Then when I went to the DA's office, I was one of a group of 3, or sometimes 4, that interviewed and hired all 200 people for the office because we had changed district attorneys. So we started like from day one, and we did that, and also worked on the budget there. And then, of course, as chief of staff in Fall River, that was the hardest job I've ever had in my life. No question about it, and I've done many, many different jobs. But it was all day long, the same pressure that you're talking about as a select person, times 100,000 rather than 16,000. And I spent all my nights trying to learn about bonding, the different rates, the industrial rate and the residential rates, and the depreciation of equipment because they did their own trash and the bags and the trash bags to make people reduce the amount of trash going into the landfills and stuff. You'd study that at night and try to bring it in and during the day. A difficult job, so I understand it.
I think we are just about out of time. If you'd like to say something in closing to our viewers out there.
Well, thank you very much for all your hospitality as I go around town. It's been great being back, reconnecting. I'll just tell you this, that if you hire me for a selectman, do we get paid for this now?
There is a stipend.
Yeah. Oh, I'll make another promise. If we have to cut town departments, I'll cut the same amount of my pay. But if you hire me for that job, you'll never ever hire anybody that'll work harder than I will. And I'll take every problem that you bring in and try to make it a little bit better.
Thank you. Our guest today, candidate Lou Pacheco for the Raynham Select Board. We want to thank you for joining us as well. And we'll see you here in the next episode of The Inside Scoop.